Hey guys, Mandy here. What is up? I am at Toronto Dance Salsa today for an incredible segment for y'all. Now, I'm going to be talking to the director of Toronto Dance Salsa, Aleks. He is such a high viber. I love bringing him into our community, and we're going to be having an amazing conversation together. And I am also very excited because he is going to be instructing me, but also you guys, on how to start your very own dance career today. No, I'm just joking. You don't have to start a career, but we're going to have so much fun doing a dance lesson, and we're going to shake any sort of stagnant energy out. We're going to have a great workout, and I am so excited for you guys to join this amazing space with me today. Now, before we begin, please remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you click that little notification bell so that you will be informed of any new footage that comes onto my space. Thank you guys, and let's do it. I am joined right now with Aleks, director of Toronto Dance Salsa. I'm super stoked. I'm trading in my usual daily workout, which you guys I know I love going to the gym every day, but I'm trading it in for a salsa dance workout with Aleks today, personal trainer, and he is going to be instructing you guys at home so you can get your move on as well. But first, we're gonna do a little talk right now because he is a really high vibes person, and I want you guys to get to know Aleks. So Aleks,
yes,
how are you feeling today?
I feel amazing. I actually did work out today before this, so from 12 to 1, I worked out. I'm fasting right now, so I get to eat after this interview, so 5 p.m. I get to eat my first meal. So I'm like super energized right now and super, super strong. So this is gonna be amazing.
Yay, and it's interesting that you bring up fasting. I actually started intermittent fasting last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't typically eat anything for about 16 hours, and
Okay.
then I do like an 8-hour eating window. And it's interesting that we're dancing, you're so energized right now. Like I would never think that you are low energy.
Yeah.
And I think people might get this idea at home that, or some people that aren't into the whole fasting thing yet, that you actually feel less energized when you do the fasting. Mm-hmm. But you clearly are a walking, living, breathing energy bunny.
Ball, yeah.
Like ball of energy. So tell us about your fasting routine.
Yeah, so I fast because I teach at night. I wake up around 8:30, 9 p.m. I run the whole dance school, and so my first meal is at 4 p.m. because then I teach 7, 8, 9 p.m. so I can still have a little bit of dinner after 10 o'clock, to be honest. But what I find is, the best way I can describe it is, like let's say you have a meal, you have a big meal, like you have a slice of pizza, some pasta, some cannoli, I don't know, whatever it is. But you know that feeling of fullness and you want to just sit and relax? I've never noticed that thing that I experience is kind of low energy, because once you feel satisfied, you tend to want to rest.
It's like that lethargy kicks in.
Yeah. Your body says, okay, let's just chill. Let's watch Netflix. Let's take a nap, cozy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so when I'm fasting, my body is in go mode. I was actually really uncomfortable with fasting initially because I was like, I don't want to be hungry. I never realized that, after the first 2-3 days of fasting, one, how easy it gets, and how really I eat a ton of food, more than I normally need in a day-to-day. So for me, fasting was an easy transition, and definitely I have more energy. And so I do the 6 to 8 hour window. It fluctuates sometimes, but I tend to stick with it afternoon to evening, and then I wrap up my day.
Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to do 8 hours. Some days, I'm not gonna lie, it goes like 10 hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotta be honest. Listen.
I'm just being honest with you. Some days it's later, it's a little bit earlier, but I try to stick to the same routine. And I think with anything in life, it's all about like getting into a healthy routine, whether it's eating, whether it's, taking a dance class, whatever the case may be. Now, I know you've been through a huge transformation, and I want you to share with everybody at home, like how you even got into salsa. And I know that weight loss was a big component for you. Like, I just want you to share about your really inspiring story today.
Yeah, okay. So I was about 21, 22. The only way really for me to meet girls, my friends would drag me to clubs. One of the clubs is called The Government. This is in Toronto. Now they shut down. Do you remember that? Yeah, right? It's the sketchiest place ever. Anyway, so every time my friends would drag me to these clubs, I'd be drinking tequila shots, but I'd never be on a dance floor because all my friends who would dance on the dance floor, they'd be kind of grinding against girls. And I honestly didn't feel comfortable with that, raised by a single mom. And I just didn't feel comfortable in my body, and I didn't know how to follow rhythm. And so it was hard for me. So the last time I remember I went clubbing, I was 22, and my friend goes up to me. He's like, brah, you need a girlfriend. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Where do I go? Like, do we go to Loblaws? Where are we going to go to meet her? He's like, no, we're going to go clubbing. I'm like, there's no way I'm going clubbing. He's like, brah, we're going to go clubbing. I'm going to take care of you. I had one of those friends. I had a couple of those friends. So anyway, so we go to a club, and my friend lines up 5 tequila shots. Back to back. And he's like,
sounds like a really smart idea.
You would think so, right? So he lines up 5 shots and he's like, down them right now. And I'm like, who's paying? And he's like, I am. I'm like, no problem. So I down the 5 tequila shots. He gives me about 10 minutes and he's like, okay, look on the dance floor. There's 5 girls dancing in a circle. And you know what I'm talking about? When girls dance in a circle, but it's like a lion pack. They make a circle. Totally. That should be already a warning sign you should not approach because they just want to just do not enter the circle. Leave the circle alone. I didn't know this. I'm 22. So he's like, go and dance with one of them. And I tell him, I'm like, it doesn't change just because I'm drunk. I still don't know how to dance. And he's like, bro, I'm going to show you. So my friend turns around, shows his butt to me. He's like, bro, so the girl's shaking her butt like this. And you got to, this is the worst part of it. He's like, you got to go silently behind her. She can't hear you coming. Right? So just wait for it. Great advice. So he's like, so you kind of start to move with her and you extend the fingertips and you just touch the hips. And he rhymed it. And you know what? Sometimes when you rhyme something, it sounds legitimate, right? Like totally. So he's like, tips to the hips, bro, tips to the hips. I'm like, okay, I mean, tips to the hips, that sounds legitimate. So he's like, go and get it. So I'm like, no way. So he gives me another tequila shot, and he's like, go. I'm like, okay, fine. And this is literally what happened. This is one of the last times I went clubbing. So it was like, I still don't know to this day why I extended the index fingers. But essentially, as I came up behind her, I poked her in her hips. She jumped, screamed. All her friends looked at me angry, like a lion. And I was like, so I crawled out of that place. It was horrible. I was drunk. It was the last time I went clubbing. And so it taught me a great lesson. It taught me a great lesson of, 1, put yourself in places where you do feel like you're accepted. Yeah. And 2, surround yourself with people who ask you to be A+ versions of yourself, not B+. Yeah. So what happened was I joined this school around 22, 23 because I got tired of feeling trapped inside my body, not feeling like I could move. And honestly, like, maybe men can relate and women can relate to this. Not feeling like a man. Like, being able to move and dance with a girl, there's a certain level of confidence. And at 22, 23, it just felt like I didn't feel like much of a man if I couldn't move, which is a weird thing to say. But so I joined the school, level 1 student. This was 10 years ago. I was 22, 23, I'm 33 now. And I just started progressing, and I was the worst dancer. And I repeated level 1 twice, but I progressed step by step. My original goal, funny enough, before I wanted to take over the school was I wanted to be a marriage counselor. So I was studying psychology to be a marriage counselor because I wanted to help couples stay together. And then I realized 2 years into my bachelor's, I don't want to do that. So I switched roles and I want to be a cop. So I started training to be a cop. But in the process of training and working different jobs, dancing was a place where I felt like I might not be talented, but if I practice, I can get a skill in it. And so this was the place. So I went from student, I wanted to be a volunteer. They actually said no. I was so bad as a dancer. When I wanted to volunteer, I'm like, for free. They're like, no.
No, thank you.
Yeah, but no, exactly. So I'm like, what does it take? They're like, you got to be a better dancer. I'm like, okay, so I went train, then I went to be an assistant. Yeah. They said, no, not good enough. So I went train again. Teacher, not good enough. And so at all these obstacles, one of the things what I loved was if I worked hard, it was under my control. Yeah. One of the things Evan actually says to me, he says, you know, you don't deserve anything, but you can earn everything. And so at the school,
let's say that again.
So you don't deserve anything, but you can earn everything.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Right? And so it's up to me. It's up to me what I earn. There's no excuses. There's nobody at fault, no obstacles. If I work hard and I grind, I will get there. Yes. And so that's what it was. 10 years later, or 4 years, I took over the school, and so the whole culture is about belonging now. Yeah. And so originally I got it tattooed, and then I got it. Yeah, so belong. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
is this your one word?
That's my one word. Belong is my one word. The world would be a better place if everybody felt like they belong within themselves and their community, with their friends, and that's what I try to have the culture in our school. And so that's been the journey for my dancing. And the other part, the health part, was, so, I mean, for the longest time, like, my weight has fluctuated, but, you know, 3-4 years ago, I got a little bit sick and tired. I'm like, I'm not happy with myself. So the first thing I did was calorie restrictions. And there's different kinds of apps. The one I used was MyFitnessPal. So, you know, you put whatever calories you eat, it's like a wallet, right? So you have like 200.
What you don't track, you cannot progress.
Right.
You need to measure. You
measure,
need to at least
track.
start with
Yes,
measuring.
exactly. So I measured myself, and about 2 years ago, I lost like 20 pounds.
Wow.
But I weighed 200 pounds then. So I weighed 200, so I lost 20 pounds, I went to 180.
Yeah.
And once I hit my goal, and I think you know about this, and most people do, sometimes when you hit your goal, you stop working, and you're like, start coasting again.
Yeah.
So I gained back that weight.
Yeah.
About 8 months ago, the big change for me was 3-4 weeks in a row, I kept hating the body I would wake up in. Like, I would wake up and I would be like this vehicle, this thing, you know. I'm gonna be fully honest. Like, I'd sleep on the side and I have my belly sticking on the side, and it's like a little pregnant belly, and I'd roll over, and then I'd look down and there's this belly sticking out, and then I'd go in the mirror and I'd look at myself and I'd just not be proud. So it's like 3-4 weeks. Yeah. And that frustration of just me not liking this started to push me over the edge. So I was like, okay, so I've done calorie restrictions, I can replicate it. And then what I did was fasting. So I did calorie fasting. And so I went from 191 about 7 months ago to 150. And the funny thing is I can't remember a time, at least up to 20, where I weighed this little. So I'm more healthy, stronger now than I was for the last 13 years, which is incredible and I'm super grateful for. And now my journey continues into fitness now and just maintenance, which is very, very important.
So important.
And self-love.
Thank you so much for sharing with me, for sharing with everyone at home. Like, that story is so inspiring because I think it's so easy to get stagnant. And also, like, the belonging, like, you know, you're such a representation of finding a community of people as well, and knowing that this is the thing, like, and this is what I found really interesting when you were telling your story, especially, is that you started, it's not like you didn't have friends. You had a group of friends, but the level at which you wanted to raise your standards in your life required you to tap into a different network of people. And I always think about this over and over again, even in my own life. It's almost like, and even this year in 2020, this new year, I'm less about the detoxification just of foods and more like a detox lifestyle where you're constantly assessing, like, are the people, are the activities, are even the attitudes you have towards things, all of these things, you need to continually refine them and, like, detox your lifestyle. So it's like you went from that group of friends and then you tapped into a different community, and at the time you wanted to become healthier, so you tapped into a healthier community.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that, like how that has been such a big factor in your life, like coming from where you were to where you are now, and just that community, that aspect of community with the dance world.
So I found a place where I belong, and part of it was, like you said, surrounding yourself with the right people. So the school was very different 6-7 years ago when I was a student.
Yeah.
It was super welcoming, it was super family oriented. The thing that I was also looking for is just diving into more of everybody feeling accepted, right? Whatever their background of dance, or whatever their ability is, their special ability is, whatever that is. So for me, it was really hard, because here's the hardest thing for me is, okay, everybody belongs.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me was some people will succeed better and be more happier somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if everybody belongs, does that mean that everybody from my past life belongs in my life? And that was so I'm also a people pleaser. Like, if someone doesn't like me, like that is so hard and so crushing. Are you kidding? Why? I'll hug you. What do you need? But that was hard.
Yeah.
And so running a school, running a business, I've surrounded my friends, like loving people, everyone. I love everyone so much, but like someone's who might be at a different stage of development, and that can hinder me a little bit.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with them. And learning to work through that, right? Like, so I went through, you go through relationships, right? Like, let's say you're in a relationship and you're not in a healthy relationship. You love this person. Like, how do you go through that, right?
Oh, I understand.
And so for me, my pill to swallow was no longer, I'd rather be away from them and I'm safe, but it's like, no, they'll be better off too, because being with me, who has these qualities that will drive them crazy, it's not healthy for them. So I've learned that belonging, everybody belongs. Some people belong somewhere else where they'll be more happy. And sometimes it's helping people see that, I've learned, in my friendships, in my relationships, and same thing for me. So the belonging now is more of an approach of everybody can win, but you have to, wherever you are, you have to love it 80%. I kind of made this weird rule. I said, if whatever you do, if 80% you love it and 20% is the grind, awesome.
Yeah.
If it's like 60% you hate it, 40% you love it, you need to assess and figure out what's happening. And so that's been the community, right? That's surrounding myself with the right volunteers, the right instructors, people who represent my culture. Because I think that's only when you compromise in relationships, in friendships, even with your family sometimes. You know, some family members that just a little bit difficult to be around, or you know, kind of drain your energy. When you do that, you start to play a little smaller.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And so I've worked hard to build the environment that I want to keep coming back to, and I think that's super critical. And sometimes that's looking at what you have now and being like, where am I being drained the most? Where am I?
Like energy assessment.
Huge.
Because like people, food, you know, activities you're involved with. There's so many things that I like to think about it like everything in your life. Whether again it's nutrition, we're speaking, fitness. Whether it's the people you surround yourself with, where you live, the environment you work in, all these things, what you do for a living, like. Are they, the most important question I think you have to always ask yourself continuously is it energizing, uplifting, and is it adding? Or is it the opposite? Do I constantly feel drained, lowered, like energy vampire type vibe after I'm around this thing or doing this thing? So Aleks, I guess my biggest thing and like what I'm so curious about is how do people at home who are watching, how can they decide whether something, aside from asking that one question, like how can they really tap into how they're feeling to know whether like a person, an activity or something is really serving them and going to get them in the direction of where they want to go in?
So funny enough, for me, one of the biggest things has been figuring out my one word, my core value, and it's actually a very easy process. Essentially, what you do is make a list of 20 to 40 things that make you happy. Movies, books, people's personalities, just make a list. And what you do is you look for trends. It's like, it's not by accident that you love the Disney movie Up, for example, and you'll love elephants and you'll love this. What you're looking for is trends. I think that for you not to be accidental in picking the right people, picking the right job, picking the right activities, hobbies, you have to be concise with what actually pulls you versus what you want to run away from. So if you make a list of 40 things, 20 to 40 things that you love, that make you happy, whatever it is, then you look for trends and you want to narrow it down to what's the thing that lights you up the most. So for me, belonging. So I will never pick people who don't make me feel like I belong. And it's layered. It's not just belong. It's right, like, it doesn't mean someone doesn't challenge me, right? So there's a lot of important mentors in my life who challenge me, but it always comes from a place of love. Because for me, belonging.
You feel accepted by them.
Exactly, because that's important.
Even though they want you to level up, so they care enough to challenge you. Even that's coming from still an accepting place.
Exactly. So for me, the way I define belonging is 3 things: open arms, seeking to understand, and honest validation. So open arms is simple as like when you come in, if I hug you, if I give you energy, you go see your partner if you have one, but if they just welcome you, you feel already like you belong. Yes. Versus if you come home and your partner is playing video games or on their phone and they don't even acknowledge that you walked in that subtle moment, you're like, wow, like there's coldness here.
Yeah.
Beyond that is seeking to understand, like how many of us, when we want to try something new, when we want to do something different, people who don't see it for themselves try to get in your way, unconsciously even.
Yeah.
Right? You want to get a new haircut, you want to try something, you want to go for a job, and then a lot of people who can't imagine that life for themselves, like, whoa, no, you shouldn't do that. Here are the obstacles. Here's the things.
Yeah.
Right? Versus like, hey, you know what? I might not agree with how you're doing it, but I want to understand the why. And that's a deeper thing. I think part of acceptance is not necessarily agreeing with, let's say you got a haircut, not agreeing with the haircut, but being like, but why did you get this type of haircut? And you say, why? Because it makes me feel free. I love you. Go crush it, right? Like how powerful.
Go do you, boo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's amazing.
Like, go you do, boo.
That's right. Go do you, boo.
That's true, right?
Yeah. And then the last one is honest validation. A lot of us are not recognized in genuine ways for the diamonds that we all are. So for example, for me, when I walk around and talk to my students, I'm very specific in my compliments. I don't say great job. I'll say, from last week, I saw you struggling with this turn.
Yeah.
Now you're doing so much better. I'm so proud of you. Because what happens in that moment is the person and I have a moment where they feel I see them.
Yes.
I don't just see the surface level compliments. I think that's that you're robbing the person and you of an opportunity for a genuine connection. And genuine connection versus connection is very different, right? Meaningful connection versus just connection. So when you give a compliment and you give it specifically about them, it's like, you know what? I knew that this was hard, but you still did the shopping. I love you so much. Thank you. That will feed them for days.
Yes.
Right? Being seen. So I think that if you have those three things, then it's easier. So how do you do it? To wrap it up, make a list of 20 to 40 things that make you happy. From there, look for trends, bring it down to 5 or 6 words. And then from there, try to pick one word that lights you up. And then surround yourself with people that provide that for you. So one of the volunteers, for example, her thing is uplifting. That's her one word.
Yeah.
I'm like, awesome. I'm like, do you feel uplifted in your relationship with your friends and this? And if the answer is no, go and figure it out. Right? Because it's hard to sometimes, progress, you talk about measurement.
Yes.
So it's hard to measure yourself if you don't have a scale.
Absolutely.
So my scale is my one word. That is my scale. If I feel
it's like a filter for everything in your life.
And it's very clear because I know exactly what makes me happy. And then here's the ruler, and it's like, in this situation, is it where I need it to be? If it's not, okay, then I can clearly tell. Versus guessing.
Totally. I love it. I love because it's so important to know. You have to know like what your intention is, your purpose within, in order to be able to even assess what's in your life. Otherwise, you're basically kind of walking around blind, and that's why so many people are like, they wake up one day and they're lost because the life situation they've created isn't really aligned with who they truly are. Exactly. So it's really living in that alignment. Yes. So I'm so grateful you shared that. And just for those wondering at home, this one word concept is from Evan Carmichael, partner of Toronto Dance Salsa.
Yep.
So that's how Evan is tied into all of this brilliance.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's so beautiful that you found this belonging.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. Like, it was interesting when you brought up the fact that this whole journey, obviously it took many years for you to get to even the clubbing scene. But when you were in that group of friends, that was kind of and the reason why I bring this whole concept up is because I think so many people can relate to, you're at the point in your life where age-wise, that's kind of what people do on, like, normally.
Yeah, 18, 19.
But you were going against the grain, choosing to see within that wasn't really working for you. It wasn't serving your higher self.
Yeah.
So you kind of went against that grain, and rather than continuing with the clubbing thing that clearly you didn't feel was right for you, and you sought out something different for yourself, and you explored that.
Yes.
So could you speak on how people at home might be able to, if they're dealing with kind of that peer pressure, or they're dealing with, it could be their family, maybe it's, a religious thing, maybe it's, just some sort of like even inner guilt they feel for going against what the norm is. How you can, because I feel like just your energy, your vibe is so like, you're so authentic in who you are, and you really like step literally like into your Aleks power. How can people start to become more authentic and explore opportunities in their lives that will allow them to like fully blossom into who they are as individuals?
Yeah, that's a layered question. I think vulnerability is a strength. I think every time I've opened up about some insecurity or somewhere where I'm lacking or somewhere I'm scared, one of the most amazing things I've experienced is love and support. When you see something vulnerable, you can't help but love it and hug it. And the 1% who don't, clearly they should not be in your life. Very easy. That's a quick filter. So actually I'll share. So the other reason why I started dancing, I just remember this, was I had a medical condition.
Oh,
From the age of 12 to 22, I had a medical condition called hyperhidrosis.
What is that?
Hyperhidrosis means your palms sweat so much, it's a medical, like my palms constantly sweat. So holding a girl's hand is awkward when you're dating at 16 and go like that. It's brutal. I remember writing exams, and I have to have my pen off the paper for an hour, because if my hand touches the paper, the ink bleeds and it gets ruined. Playing video games with friends, passing them a Sega Genesis, talking about my age, Sega Genesis, passing it over. And it's like, why is it wet? So part of the other thing was at the age of 22, I got sick and tired of my medical condition. So I did an actually operation. And if you're in Ontario, fortunately, it's actually covered by OHIP.
Oh, wow.
I can't quite remember the name, but if you look up hyperhidrosis treatment, this is one of the treatments. Anyways, so what they did was they went between my rib cage and they cut the connection to my hands. So my hands physically cannot sweat. So nowadays, I just worry about hands being dry, which is not a problem.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. So that was part of it was I went and I got an operation. So I kind of did a physical transformation. Coming back, why am I sharing this? Well, talking about vulnerability, you asked me a question of, well, how do you want to assess and how do you
Step into your authenticity.
Step into authenticity. So when I first started taking classes, and I was actually talking to Evan about this. I'm like, Evan, you know, I'm teaching these classes and I want a real connection, but how do I do it? And he's like, you got to share your story of the sweating. At this point, you have to understand, so I was 26. At this point, the only people on this planet who knew about the operation were my mom, my brother, my dad, and my best friend.
So was this something just
I was held in secret.
like
shame.
you were so shameful
Shame,
of it,
shame,
like completely
shame. Complete shame.
embarrassed.
Yes,
it was
it was
something
horrible.
that was like no man's land.
Yeah. And so at that and then at that point Evan knew. So that's 5 people. 5 people on this planet knew this. And the doctor. Anyway, so the 5 people knew it, and I said, I can't do that. He said, why not? And I said, as a leader, shouldn't I be strong? Shouldn't I be perfect in front of my students? Shouldn't I, like, if I got an operation, doesn't that mean that I was just so weak that I excused myself and I got an operation? How can people respect? How can I tell people to be strong if I was weak and I didn't swallow this and move beyond this?
Yeah.
And so he said something great to me, and I kind of carry this, and he said, people can only connect with you if you're all there. And if you're not there, people can't connect.
Yeah.
So out of spite, I remember he had his videographer, and the next week we're supposed to record. So I come in, and he's out of the studio. I go up to the videographer. His name was Jason, I think. And so I go up to him, and I'm like, bro, I got to tell you something. And my heart was, because he's a total stranger, and I'm about to tell. I'm like, bro, this thing happened, blah, 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 blah. And his first thing he said was, do you have a scar? And I'm like, what? He's like, bro, do you have a scar? I'm like, yeah. He's like, because I got an operation. So he lifts his shirt up. He's like, I got a scar. Do you have a scar? So I lift my shirt up. So now we're half shirtless, and Evan comes in. He's like, what the hell are you doing? We're like, we're nothing. We're bonding. From that moment, I remember I shared it the next day in my classes, and I remember sobbing in front of my students because I was so scared and ashamed. And the only thing was they all rounded up, all these strangers, and they hugged me. And from that moment, I realized that I can never be my authentic self if all I do is show the wins. If all I do is show when I'm powerful, because the reality is I'm not always powerful. And when I feel weak, to share that, I give the opportunity for others to lift me up, which is a gift to them, which makes them feel like they belong, because ultimately, if I can create a safe space for them, they have a safe space. And so how do you connect with people who might not be able to understand you? I think, you know, in the teenage years, you know, your parents tell you, don't wear those pants. It tends to be, your argument is, well, these, you know, it's my body and blah, blah, blah. You make a stand. Where now I've learned that when someone is resisting me, it's usually because I'm sometimes resistant myself.
Yeah.
And so in the moments, so I had a great example. So I cut my hair. So I cut my hair super short. I've never had my hair cut this short.
Yeah.
And it was yesterday. I was just driving to a hairstylist, and I'm like, you know what? I'm uncomfortable with my hair being short. I'm just going to do it. I love my mom. She's an incredible mom. When she saw me, like moms do, she literally looked at me. She's like, oh, first of all, she was shocked, jaw open. And she's like, it looks like you got out of prison. She's like, I love her. I love her so much. But that's what mamas are for.
Like, my mom is straight up.
Yeah,
like, just straight up truth.
Exactly. And so she's like, God gave you this beautiful hair, and you just had to ruin it. And so I'm dying and laughing, but she's getting more furious, you know, poking the bear. But she started snapping at me. And at first I was snapping. I'm like, listen, it's my body. I'm an adult. And then I caught myself, and this was the vulnerability part. I said, Mom, okay, listen. You don't like the haircut. No, I hate it. You're ruining it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay. I want to walk you through why I did it. And so I slowly walked her through. I'm like, I did it because I was uncomfortable. And her first thing was, well, why can't you do other things that are uncomfortable? Why do you have to pick this thing? I'm like, I know, but this is the thing that's important for me. My hair can always grow back.
Totally.
But you love me, right? And so I kind of calmed her down, and she came down, and she kind of relaxed. And that's the trick. It's vulnerability. Maybe even in the moment they won't be able to, but when you genuinely open your heart, 99% of the time you'll get love. And the 1% should not be in your life.
Totally. Totally. I really appreciate you sharing that. I feel so grateful that you shared that because I do believe that vulnerability and sharing, like, I know it's corny, the saying, but it's sharing is caring,
Sharing
right?
is caring.
And it is that beautiful tie that we can use to connect with one another. It's like, it's being real, right? And like, I struggle with that insecurity myself, and I have in my own life too, where it's that perfectionist, right? You want to like put that image out. And it's in the times that I've been really vulnerable, especially like in the day and age we're at with social media and the glossy photos and the perfect images and all of this stuff. But the times when I'm really vulnerable and I share about the pain points or things that I've gone through, that's like really the powerful connector with people.
And it's release. You're talking about hiding a part of you that you're not sharing with those closest to you and feeling trapped in your own life because you've trapped yourself.
Totally. It's imprisonment. It's literally self-imprisonment. And when you're able to be vulnerable, and I'm not saying you need to blast all your dirty, it's not about blasting all your dirty laundry out there, but it's just being real, you know? And I think it's really refreshing whether it's on air like this and we're having these conscious kind of discussions, or whether it's on social media or just day to day with the people you meet in your life, like really the true power in connection is to be your authentic self. And you do that by just sharing from here. Not here, because we get up here so often, it's from here.
And it's hard. It's hard work and it's scary. I did not want to share those things.
Oh, it's like really, really scary.
Yeah, and so it's like working out. You know, if you go to the gym and you go lift some weights, you're not going to see a difference except maybe feeling pain.
Yeah.
But at some point, week 4, week 5, you start to see the muscles. And so
Something
vulnerability
shifts.
is a daily practice in the micro moments. You're right. It doesn't have to be one massive thing. And it can be if you have the strength to do that. But it's in the little moments when you're with your partner and you come home and they say, how was your day? And you're worried you're going to bum them out. But you say, you know what? My day was really, really tough and I could use a hug. And just saying that
in itself is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like so off camera, we had got into a really beautiful discussion. And I want to bring it into you guys because we were talking about just asking for what you want. And that's something that's so powerful. And it's like such a simple yet profound way to literally change your life. And I speak from my own experience. It's like people ask me all the time, like, Mandy, how do you get everything you want? Or like, how is it that you are able to manifest what you want? I ask. If you don't ask, it's a guaranteed no. Whether that's in relationships, whether that's in your lifestyle, whether that's at work, if you want to raise, like if you're sitting there, and this is the thing that always like boggles my mind in life of like, and you said you're all about like raising your standards right now. That's a big element and theme for you. Well, if you don't ask for what you want, how are you going to get it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm talking internally. If you don't continuously ask yourself, like, you know what? Have those conversations, that inner dialogue where it's like, what do I want that could be more? What do I want that still being content with like where you're at, but still always looking ahead too to grow, progress? Like, what is it that I want?
What do you think is the obstacle? Why do people not ask?
I'm going to say fear. It's fear. I really do believe it's some source of fear, whether it's like judgment. Maybe they're afraid of being judged. Maybe they're afraid that they will not get what they want, you know, that they'll be maybe shunned or turned down. Like, that to me, I just have gotten to a point where it's a mindset of fearlessness. Like, I know if I don't ask, it's a guaranteed no. And it's like the Wayne Gretzky saying, like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's the same way. If you don't ask, you're guaranteed to not get what you want. The worst case scenario, if you ask, is that maybe you get turned down. And that's it.
And the best part of that, and this is one of the things I had to learn over practice, is you get closure and you can move on.
Yes,
because until
gray
then,
area sucks.
limbo.
Gray area, limbo. My mom and I actually joke about this, but gray area and limbo is literally like the worst position you can be in. I would rather be told no than like not know.
Yes.
That unknown, that actually makes me more uncomfortable now than like just getting a straight up answer, because then I can just move on.
Yeah.
If I don't know, I'm kind of like, okay, what do I do with this? You know?
Yeah.
So asking for what you want is a really big element in just having the kind of lifestyle you want.
Yeah.
And I think the asking, and this is beautifully tied into the whole muscle of fitness element of dancing,
Yes.
is it's like a muscle. Every time you do that, every time you take a little risk of asking, you build that resiliency muscle.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So when we're bringing this back to dance now,
Yep.
and you're so well versed in salsa especially,
Yeah.
you have had to take a lot of risks, I'm sure, in this studio.
Yes.
So take me through the process now of the dance and how that has helped to literally shape your body, but also your mindset.
Yeah, I mean, so when I first started taking lessons, I didn't have the courage to go out dancing like socially until the end of level 4. I was really, really self-conscious. I felt like I couldn't still provide a value, or I'd have a girl walking away from me in the middle of the dance floor. So when I started going out dancing, we have these parties here on Sundays, and so I remember coming in and sitting in the corner for 2 or 3 weeks in a row, just sitting and watching people. And the worst thing ever is, it's like going to the gym. If you just obsess and watch the super fit, kind of Arnolds and whatever, with the squats.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can get intimidated by that. You're like, I'm just gonna retreat back to my Doritos in the bathtub with some wine, right? Like, but it's that, right? So I kept going out dancing, but I would just sit there. And so, one of the most amazing things happened. This tiny little lady, okay, she's not maybe, but this tiny. She came up and she asked me to dance. And I remember she extended her hand. She said, "Do you want to dance?" And I remember I was so self-conscious at that point. I almost asked her why, because like I'm just like I don't belong. Like I don't. And so she said, so I extended the hand, and so for 3-4 Sundays in a row, she kept asking me to dance, and it built my confidence. I think that one of the great lessons is if you wait. So if you're not afraid to do something, you waited too long.
Okay, hold on. Let's say that again. If you're not afraid
to do something, you waited too long.
Yes.
So there should be still some discomfort.
An element of like, yes.
There should be a little bit of discomfort, right? That's in asking people something, whatever. And so to dancing, one of the things that helped me with my mental game was I would intentionally go and ask the girls I feel most uncomfortable dancing and embarrassing myself. And it was in the smallest of ways. And then asking the instructor when I was a student, I was like, oh my God, instructor is the thing. And I remember like weeks, I'd be like, someday. And I'd be like, come on, Aleks. And I would ask her to dance. And I made a, I don't know what I can say, but a butt of myself. Yes. I don't know what I can say here. But
yoga booty of yourself.
A yoga booty, yeah. A yoga booty of myself. And I was offbeat and it was embarrassing, but she was smiling. And it's that. It's one of the things that helped me with my personal confidence was asking people that I was uncomfortable asking. It's sometimes being rejected, to be honest. Very rarely I find it does happen on the salsa dance floor, fortunately, unlike clubs. Because everybody is very kind and understanding that we just want to come in and dance. But it happened to me, so I'd get rejected. I've had moments where girls would walk off the dance floor and I'd just be like, I'm going home now, right? And then you kind of, you build for that. But if you waited too long, if you wait so long that you're not afraid, you waited too long.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And so every major decision actually should be looking like that, right? Like, so if you look at any relationship you've been in, at least a week before you broke up, you knew you should have broken up.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how soon, when your gut says, go do this, do you act on it? The sooner you act on it, the sooner you act on your gut, the more happy you'll be. Most people's happiness, that limbo, is the delay between, I feel this is the thing.
Yeah.
Here are the million excuses or whatever, apprehension,
and then they
insecurity.
Finally, if ever, take action.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
So the wins are in the micro to build the macro. You don't just become bold in one massive act. You don't go outside naked and run around try hugging people. I mean, don't do that. That's not appropriate. But it's not one massive thing. Just like it's not one time you go to the gym.
Totally.
It's the little things. It's when you're driving home or whatever, and there's a conversation you've been avoiding with a friend.
Yeah.
And you go and you make that call in the moment. When you think it, you feel it, act on it.
Yes.
Think, feel, act.
Totally. I'm all about the feels, especially this year. Like the last few months of my life especially has been all about the feeling, which this is partly why I want to bring you guys into the dance studio, because dance is such a beautiful healing art in order to really tune and tap into your body and really get a sense of feeling physically so that you can dive deeper and really start to feel that gut, those kind of gut feelings that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
That's really, to me, like what dance has been like in my life. And the last few months, you guys watching out there, I'm sure a lot of you can resonate with, you know, when you really start to feel it, that's when you can really start to heal it. Whatever your pain points are at home, when you feel it, then you can heal it. If you're too much in here and only in here, you can't outthink a healing problem.
Yeah.
You can't. It has to come from here, and it has to come from here.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so happy we're here at Toronto Dance Salsa to get
Awesome.
our move on.
Yeah, we're gonna be
I love
dancing.
it. I'm so excited. So please tell everyone at home if they can get to a salsa studio.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
But what are the main benefits? Just like nutshelling it for
Yeah.
people out there who are interested. Like, what are we looking forward to today in this workout together?
So we're gonna learn to move to music. We're gonna learn to coordinate our feet and feel good in our body. We're gonna do some sexy movements and just to start to come into our own body and our own space. I think that we're very self-conscious in general, and I am extremely still self-conscious. And the subtle ways that we're self-conscious is we kind of, you know, you adjust the t-shirt and
like robotic.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like getting like loose and like just
exactly, and just making it feel that anyone can do it. And I think that's the biggest thing. Dancing shouldn't. 99% of people who take dancing don't want to be professional dancers. They want to just feel good. They want to connect with others. So what are the benefits of doing dance is in an age where most connections are through Instagram, and it's not meaningful connections. You come out on a dance floor, especially once you go in the workforce, it's hard to make friends. It's hard to feel like you're connected to something more than yourself. Right?
Totally.
Like you live in a condo or you live in a house, you don't know your neighbors. So in North America particularly, I think we're very isolated and lonely.
I mean, even at work, it's like, I feel like a dance studio especially is such an environment where you are able to really like make a deeper connection, partly because you're more vulnerable. You have to take risks. You have to make fun of, you can't be so serious. You have to make fun of yourself. You have to get comfortable with not being perfect. Like there's so many elements that you could take from the dance studio and apply to your real life to make yourself a better person.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have the great fortune, and I can have the great fortune of, you know, whatever people bring in here, the stressful day, they got fired, they had a flat tire, I get to pull them up. And in that hour, 2 hours, we get to all be uplifted and just be joyous. And my goal is always, and I think any school's goal should be, lift your students up so when they leave, they're charged up until next week when they come in and you lift them up again. It's having fun, it's feeling connected, it's bonding with your special partner, right? Spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And in the process, learning to coordinate yourself. That's dancing, right? Coordination. So
yeah, and it's a serious workout.
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited because you guys know that I love fitness and I love anything and everything to make your life easier to be healthy and happy and harmonious at home, but also to do it in a fun way that's enjoyable. And like dancing, I can't speak enough to how much dancing, even like I literally bust a move, like in like when I'm working out sometimes, I bust a move like just walking down the street. I love dance so much, so I wanted to be able for you guys at home to enjoy the benefits of dance, and who better to teach you than an actual professional dance instructor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Now, what we're gonna do is you're gonna step back with your right foot. 1, 2, and I'll catch you, dip, and done. All right, so 5, 6, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, so it's again. Okay, sure.
All right, so we are now going to get our move on with Aleks.
Yep.
So Aleks.
Yes.
Tell me what to do. What do we do?
So
How do people at home do this?
So we're gonna start with our basic steps. I describe this kind of like you're trying to cross the road, but you can't decide which way you want to go. To make it feel good, before we move on to the next part, all you need to make sure to do is you do small steps and make sure that you're lifting every foot. So when I started learning this, I thought I was smarter than the instructor, and I would do this. Right? And you're not really moving there, right? You never walk like this. You never get anywhere in life.
So it's like being fluid. Like
fluid,
really
yes.
flowing,
And so
letting it flow.
exactly. So what we're gonna do is right now to make sure that they can hear us and we know what we're doing, we're gonna stomp our feet. And so what you should hear is this. Now we're gonna do that loudly for now, just so they know it's 3 steps. So we step it, and I'll step back, step it, step. So you hear that? That's 6 clear steps versus this. See, there's 1 step that's missing, so we gotta lift. Now, obviously, please don't do this at home. You're gonna kill your knees. And there's a song that plays in my head. I don't know if you can hear it. It's like this. Boom, boom, ch, boom, boom, ch. Also has a rhythm, and that is step, step, pause, step, step, pause. So that song by Queen plays in my head. Boom, ch, boom, boom. Now here's the trick. This is the worst part of learning and not being scared is not to look down. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at your beautiful, gorgeous self. Embrace that energy, that light you have inside you.
Oh.
So all you need to do is if you look at my upper body and yours and we go to the side, we're gonna rock back in. You see how kind of way easier than looking at the feet. Rock back in. And so we always come back home. Come back home. Come back home. And 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7. Step, step, pause, and we go. Step, step, pause, step, step, pause. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Boom. That's it. You own it. Exactly. Then you get a little saucy. There you go. 1 and 5 to the side. And 1 and 5. Forward. And 1 and 5. Let's run to the turns. So with Latin dancing, we always want to be soft with our knees. We love the ground, if that makes sense, right? We're never up here dancing. Well, the turn kind of works like this. So bring your feet together. Imagine someone calls your name, right? So it says, Mandy, you naturally do this. What's up? Right? You turn with your torso. So what we do in real life is here, exactly like dancing. We're never going to kind of kick off with our feet, blast off. It doesn't feel natural. So we tie it in.
Very graceful,
yes.
very flowy,
yes.
very elegant.
What you've done since the age of, what, I don't know, 2, when you could respond to your name, which is turn with your torso, and that's how turns work. So all I need you to do, Mandy, is take a tiny step like you're dipping your toes in a jacuzzi. You're just testing the water. Okay. So if you put all your weight in here, then you're gonna fall in the jacuzzi. The jacuzzi might not be ready.
Right.
And you place your left foot, just a tap, look over your shoulders, Mandy, what's up? And then you kind of imagine like, I'm dancing, I'm busy. So what you do now is you take your left foot and you bring it around and you come find yourself in the mirror. And that's a turn. Give me a high five.
Hey guys, okay, so that was an amazing time that we've had today at Toronto Dance Salsa. Now, just be sure before I see you guys next time that you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so that you will always be informed of the latest and greatest footage and newest footage that will be up on my channel. And the last thing that I really would love to know, and I'm gonna put this out there in the audience today, what kind of activities do you guys use to build more of a sense of community in your world? Do you like dance? Do you go to the gym? Do you connect with people in other ways? Put a comment below so that you can connect to others in this community, but also maybe you guys can share some ideas out there on how others can get tapped into high vibe communities where they are too. All right, guys, I love you so, so much. I'm sending you guys so much love and light. And until next time, I'm wishing you the healthiest and happiest day out there. Mwah!